Guys, and welcome back to another episode of Food School Smarter, Stronger, Leaner podcast on a mission to change the way the world eats. My name is Shurina, and I'm a certified nutritionist, health, nutrition, performance coach, and someone who's just so freaking passionate about helping people like you guys to learn how to use nutrition as a precise tool to improve the way you look, feel, and do absolutely everything in life. Because nutrition, guys, has to do with a lot of things in our life. Even things like motivation and drive and your craving for achieving higher goals. Nutrition has a lot to do with that, actually. And today we are talking about that exact thing. Motivation, drive, or what some people think about as mental energy to pursue things. Today we're talking about dopamine. Guys, you might heard about dopamine sometimes and know that it is connected to addictions. Maybe you think about it as a pleasure molecule or substance in our brain. Like the more we get, the more pleasure we get from different foods or activities. Like, for example, eating desserts or playing video games. But dopamine actually is a neurotransmitter or brain chemical. It's a molecule of drive and motivation and seeking rewards. It's what makes us humans go and get after things. And not just us, but also animals. It seems that humans, what distinguishes us from other animals is our high level of dopamine that makes us go out of our comfort zones, go out there and pursue things. If you take, let's say, a cow, it has enough dopamine to get out there, in the field and seek grass or whatever, the cow needs to survive and not die. But for us humans, it goes much beyond that. We don't just survive, we have more dopamine to get after goals that we envision and pursue them. Sometimes even, and often actually, with the danger of losing what we have, and sometimes even putting our immediate survival, not so much to danger, but to discomfort. And because of high level of dopamines, we are able to tolerate much more discomfort than other animals to pursue things that sometimes are not at all in our immediate environment, but are more far-reaching goals, like, 10 goals. They say, like, what's your 10-year goal? Yeah, and humans are such a pursuing machines that we can get motivated. We have enough dopamine to pursue things that are 10 years away and not even guaranteed. But all animals have dopamine as this molecule to drive behavior, seeking rewards. And when animals don't have it, they did a lot of research on mice in labs. They blocked either receptors of dopamine or production of it. And when mice, for example, don't have dopamine, they don't seek out food, even when they starve. And so they die. That's how dopamine is important. But in humans, guys, I want you to understand why dopamine is so important. I also today want you to understand what you might be doing that disrupts normal dopamine production or function in your brain, and what you can do to improve that. So here is a list of common dopamine deficiency symptoms. I'm going to be reading to you quite some information from the website that's called Be Brain Fit, that was created and maintained with such great information by neuroscientists. And so I'm going to be reading to you from this website, and the link to all this information is going to be in the show notes. So, common list of dopamine deficiency symptoms: apathy, engaging in self-destructive behaviors, especially addictions, fatigue, hopelessness, inability to complete tasks, inability to concentrate, inability to connect with others, inability to feel pleasure, lack of motivation, low libido, memory loss, mood swings, procrastination, and sleep problems. Hearing this list of things, you might understand why it's important to talk about it during our energy week. Because apathy, fatigue, we perceive it as lack of physical energy or hopelessness, or when we have low mood, low drive, low libido states, or when we procrastinate, or when we have sleep problems. All that's going to translate on a personal level into this state of low energy. When we don't want to do things, we can barely do things that are required, leave alone getting out there and pursuing our higher goals. So causes of low dopamine, poor nutrition, and things like eating sugar, for example, or drinking alcohol more often than not. Those things, especially, highly palatable foods, guys, why it's so detrimental to dopamine is because they give you a huge rush of that dopamine. But if you do it on a regular basis, what happens is your dopamine receptors, they get desensitized. So what it means is you need more of the thing to get the same pleasure. But what also happens is your receptors become less sensitive, and then at some point they can even shut down. So basically you get no dopamine, you're not going to experience pleasure, and you're also not going to be motivated to do anything, and you're going to be apathetic and experience fatigue, etc. Besides that, there are certain key nutrients like B vitamins. Let me actually scroll all the way down here to read you exact list of those nutrients that are essential for production of dopamine. There are supporting nutrients like vitamin B6, B9, B12, folate, B12, B6, and we need to get more than enough if you want to have increased level of dopamine and drive and motivation, guys. More than enough, and that's where supplementation comes in really handy. So B vitamins, specifically B6, B9, B12. We have vitamin D that a lot of people are deficient in. We have magnesium. Again, a lot of people are deficient in. Plus, magnesium does contribute to physical energy, actual process of making energy in the body. We have iron that is mostly found in animal foods, and not all even animal foods, like mostly beef really, and some vegetables like spinach. But a lot of people, they speculate, most of the people do not get enough iron. Omega-3 essential fatty acids, important for dopamine. But then we also have L-tyrosine, that is an amino acid that is an essential element to make dopamine in the brain. And L-tyrosine is most abundantly found in lean beef, pork, chicken, firm tofu, and salmon. And also, it is in general found more abundantly in animal foods. And with all these vegetarian and vegan propaganda and people in general trying to eat less animal products, that's why I believe a lot of people start experiencing all these symptoms more often than not. And not having enough dopamine on a regular basis might even feel like depression, because when you have no drive, you are apathetic, lethargic, and fatigued, and you have sleep problems and mood swings. What is going to feel like? Like depression. And how energetic are you going to be? Not that much. So L-tyrosine, or specific amino acids in animal foods. So eat enough animal foods for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We have B vitamins that are usually quite present in animal foods. Vitamin D might be an issue. Magnesium, iron might be an issue. Omega-3 fatty acids that are found in fatty fish and things like cod liver oil and fish oil supplements. Again, super important for your dopamine. Check it if you do consume them on a regular basis or not. Dopamine is also boosted with regular exercise. So do you exercise? It actually will boost your drive and motivation. And if you're experiencing fatigue, if you're experiencing depression or anxiety, it's going to help with that too. What else we have here? We have some spices actually, like turmeric is very beneficial to dopamine production. Turmeric is not well absorbed without pepperine, and that's why if you think that you might be experiencing problems with dopamine, might be a great idea to look into supplements with turmeric and pepperine. So let me look at other things. Chocolate, by the way, also helps with dopamine production. We have also another supplement, ginkgo biloba, that helps via improving dopamine transmission in our prefrontal cortex, that's a region of the brain responsible for language, thinking, decision making, and planning. Fava beans, by the way, guys, is a natural, or they also call them broad beans, natural source of L-dopa that easily crosses blood-brain barrier and is made into dopamine in the brain. That gives you, again, more motivation, more drive, so you don't feel fatigued and apathetic and not like doing anything but procrastinating instead. Beverages that can boost dopamine are coffee and any kind of tea that contain this amino acid L-theanine that seems to help with dopamine. So coffee, tea. With coffee, know the time, know the amount, because if you drink too much caffeine, that can be translated into anxiety. But a couple of small cups first part of the day, so it doesn't interrupt with your sleep, is really great for your dopamine. Then don't forget to eat your animal foods, eliminate processed foods from your diet, especially the ones that hit your dopamine receptors hard, like high palatable, high sugary foods. Also, what was interesting for me is that there was aspartame. So that's an artificial sweeteners very often found in zero-calorie, zero-sugar sodas, right? So a sweetener. Aspartame decreases brain levels of both dopamine and serotonin. That is not great for your mental health, to say the least. And some foods that would either boost your dopamine productions or somehow increase the absorption or the duration of the action of dopamine. So apples, avocados, bananas, beans, beets, chocolates, green leafy vegetables, nuts, oats, olive oil, oregano, peanuts, rosemary, sea vegetables, sesame and pumpkin seeds, soy products, watermelon, and even wheat. If you have no problems with gluten, then it's also great for dopamine. But specifically, guys, don't forget to focus on animal protein-rich foods, specifically lean beef, pork, salmon, chicken, and firm tofu, but then also eggs, dairy products. The reason being, there we have L-tyrosine that is essential, crucial element of making dopamine. And if you don't get your animal products, your animal protein, most probably you start to get deficient, and that's where you start running into all these problems that I mentioned at the beginning of the episode. And let me read this list to you again. Apathy, engaging in self-destructing behaviors, fatigue, hopelessness, inability to complete tasks, inability to concentrate, to connect with others, to feel pleasure, lack of motivation, low libido, memory loss, mood swings, procrastination, sleep problems. It all has to do with dopamine levels. I've been blessed. I think like in my family, dopamine runs high. We were never tested for that neurotransmitter, but we all seem to have this drive of getting things done. For my sister, a little bit of my personal story that translated into abuse of substances that cause addiction, specifically alcohol and some drugs. For me, it made me super addicted to getting after my goals and working on long-term projects, right? So when you have high dopamine, for one reason or the other, it can drive you to addictions or to healthier addictions, right? To goal achieving, seeking behavior. Plus, I do things to boost my dopamine all the time. I exercise every day. I eat plenty amount of animal protein. I do not eat things that abuse my dopamine, like eating high sugary food or high palatable foods or processed foods in general. Cold showers seem to boost dopamine. Breathing and meditation seem to boost it. Actually, not eating for certain periods of time during the day, what it's called intermittent fasting, also makes dopamine receptors more sensitive. So that translates into higher level of dopamine in our system. What else do I do? And I eat chocolate all the time and all these green leafy vegetables. So no wonder my dopamine has lately been super high, and I'm working on my really stretchy goals that some people consider possible. But that being said, guys, mental energy has a lot to do with dopamine. How energetic and ready to go you feel has a lot to do with dopamine. And today we talked about what you can do, what you can eat to increase your levels of dopamine, and what you should not consume, and behaviors you shouldn't engage in if you want your dopamine levels to be at a healthy range, so you feel motivated and driven and like you have more than enough energy to do whatever it is you want to do in life. And that's it for today, guys. Check out the link in the show notes for all the information that I've been going over. If you have any questions about optimizing your dopamine levels, I have quite some experience with that, working with entrepreneurs and people who seem to be lower on dopamine, struggling with not consistently doing healthy habits like exercise or eating certain healthy foods, right? If you need help, if you have questions, please reach out. Also, share this episode and the link in the show notes with people who might be struggling with motivation and drive and feeling not really like doing much, right? And that might be affecting in a negative way their life. So share this episode, share the link, ask questions. And guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. And till next time, as usual, eat better daily.